Welcome to the University of Huddersfield. The circular economy, I'd like you to tell me a little bit about it and where did you come across it?
Well, first of all, I'd just explain why I'm doing what I'm doing because it links directly into the circular economy. When I was sailing around the world, I took with me everything I would need for my existence for 3 months. Because all you have on that boat is literally all you have. You're 2,500 miles away from the nearest town. And what I realised through that journey was the definition of the word finite. Because when you have no more, there is no more. And I'd never ever translated that to life on land before. I'd never thought about the relationship between running out of resources on a boat and running out of resources on land. But you realise when you start to study, as I did 6 years ago now, I started to learn about how we use resources, and you realise one of the biggest challenges, based on the fact we have finite resources, we only have so much coal, oil, gas, we only have so many materials, polymers, plastics, metals. If we have finite materials, and we continue to use them in the way we do today, which is in a linear way where we take something out of the ground, make something out of it, and then throw it away at the end of its life. It's not designed for anything else. It's designed to go into that linear system, and we only make money when we sell products through that linear system. That can never work in the long term. And if our strategy for coping with the future, knowing that the prices of materials are increasing and the prices of energy are only going to increase because they're based on these finite resources, our strategy is to use less. And using less absolutely does not inspire a generation to rethink the future as we need to, but also using less isn't a solution. It just buys us time. So the idea of the circular economy is rather than using things up, you use them. You design products for disassembly, you design products so you probably don't buy them, you lease them, and you design products so that you can cycle them as many times as possible. And to look at the economic opportunities of that model, we worked with McKinsey at the beginning of this year and we produced an economic report into the opportunities of a circular economy, which we launched at Davos in January, and that report highlighted a $630 billion economic opportunity for Europe alone, based on only 48.7% of EU manufacturing and based on only cycling 25% of the materials in those products just once. So the figure is huge. It's even more great when you look at that globally, and it's looking at a totally different way of our economy functioning so it can run in the long term and businesses can still have growth, which is essential for getting ourselves out of the economic crisis.
So when you say we, you mean the MacArthur Foundation?
We as a foundation work in this space, but we also work with our founding partners who are Renault, which brings me here to Huddersfield today, National Grid, B&Q and Kingfisher, which is the holding company of B&Q, Kingfisher, and then BT and Cisco. They fund our work. We work with those organisations and also many other organisations such as McKinsey, such as smaller companies that are already doing running their businesses in the form of a circular economy, like Deso, the carpet manufacturer, for example. They've built a carpet that is designed for disassembly. When you finish leasing it, it goes back to them, they take it apart, they melt it down, they turn it into a brand new carpet through depolymerisation and through melting, and then they sell that carpet again or they lease that carpet again. And their goal is to do that using entirely renewable energy by 2025. Now once they get to that point, they know their cost for the next 25 years. And in manufacturing, that's a nice place to be. If you look at the average EU car manufacturing raw material costs, in the last 12 months they increased by 500 million euros, which is totally outside of the control of that company. So this is about rethinking the way you use those materials. So rather than making your money when you sell a car and having to find the materials and sell another car to make more money, you actually look at different business models so that you can lease cars or you can remanufacture vehicles, and they're designed to do just that.
And you mentioned some businesses there that are already on board. Is this starting to catch fire? Do you find that more businesses are beginning to sort of take this on board and start to think how differently they should operate?
I think that one of the big challenges is when you look at material and energy prices, they are going to increase. You know, we only have so much, copper, when you look at tin, copper, indium that sits on the screen of all our phones, 13 years left in the 2008 New Scientist report, yet it goes in every LCD screen. If you're the manufacturers of products that use these materials, and it could be the polymers in vehicles, it could be the metals in vehicles, look at copper, last year it went up by 30% in cost. These are materials that no one makes anymore. And with 3 billion new consumers coming online in the next few years, then you just see the use of these materials going up, and the use of those materials can't go vertical because they're a finite resource. So manufacturers and companies are looking for different models. Different economic models, different business models, models that can actually run in the long term and that can decouple growth from finite resources, which is exactly what the circular economy is.
Do you find you have much government support for this?
Our strategy when we kicked off the foundation just 18 months ago was to work in two areas, education and business. So at the moment we have work in higher education, we work with an international network of business schools, we work with secondary schools in the United Kingdom. By next September we'll have our material in D&T, chemistry, STEM subjects in 50% of the secondary schools in the United Kingdom. As we're growing this network of universities and business schools, at the same time our work within business is about driving different business models, accelerating change. We work at the top level with those organisations, so CEO and moving down through the organisation to actually drive this change and make things happen. So we work in those two areas. What we've actually found after the last 18 months' work is the government has come to us. We've now run several workshops for them and we're talking about ways to work together. But our main driver is education and driving change with business to prove those numbers that were highlighted in the report in January.
The University of Huddersfield, inspiring tomorrow's professionals.